Really appreciate it for everybody who stuck around. This last one is offensive strategies to capitalize during crisis. So if Morgan, Steckler, Steve Quan, Enzo, Michael Terpin, Nick Spanos, and Simon Bagdanawi would like to join, now would be a good time so we can get this kicked off.
Offensive strategies to capitalize during a crisis. So, hey, Michael, how are you?
Hey, pretty good.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Good
to see you.
Took a little while. Nice to see you. It took a little while to get into. It kept throwing me out for bandwidth, but I guess.
Are you sure it was for bandwidth, Michael?
Well, I was on Zoom calls all day, but I think Big Marker consumes more.
There you go. There you go. So let's get down to some subject matter here. We're talking about what do you do? It's a crisis. What do you do? So recessions and depressions create opportunities. And so the first question, I guess, that I'd like to pose is what are some of the things that people can do to take advantage of that in the crypto sphere? Let me start with Morgan.
I mean, we're in a unique situation right now. As I was talking, I believe this morning, we're seeing a triple black swan event. I mean, something that we haven't seen in our lifetime. So we're seeing lives change forever. This helicopter drop, this fiat currency, which will not survive. So opportunity is what you can make of it. I mean, one is building on yourself for sure. You have time stopped for months, so you can build on yourself. But in terms of investing, in terms of money, go alternative assets. Me personally, gold and crypto. There's opportunity if you look. It's if you have the funds, it's life changing.
Right. Nick, do you have a comment on that? What do you think you would do right now in the crypto space that would put you in a good position as this crisis rolls out?
Yeah, financial advice. I don't know about that.
No. Not financial advice.
This is not financial advice at all.
If you need that, you should go to your accountant or other professional. There you go.
Yeah.
Go to professional. I'm not a professional. So,
there you go.
Well, I believe 100% in cryptocurrency, and also because there's this pandemic, I believe cryptocurrency can make you feel good and increase your immunity too. So
there you go.
I think that I took this time that usually I always think of this story, the two lumberjacks. And they raced for the whole day to see who's going to chop more wood, sunrise to sundown. And one guy kept breaking for every 10 minutes, for every 15 minutes, for 5 minutes. And at the end of the day, the guy who kept chopping is like, "Hey, I beat this guy for sure." He walks over there. The other guy has twice as much lumber, and he's like, "Well, how the heck do you do that when you're rested every 10 minutes? You're rested." He's like, "I wasn't resting. I was sharpening my axe."
Nice.
I think this is one of those opportunities for us to sharpen our axes and take a look at where we think or who we think is doing better or whatever, and go in that direction. I think we have an incredible opportunity right now to meditate for all these days, maybe weeks. Who knows how long it's going to be? And you're not going to get an opportunity like this. You're going to be in a rat race on the mouse wheel, running around, and you're not going to be able to see much of anything. But right now, the world stood still for everybody, and we got to take this opportunity to arise to this occasion, to the challenges, and that are going to make the difference. We're making the difference. We have to perpetuate cryptocurrency and to promote cryptocurrency when we didn't have it before. Everyone's minds are open now to new things. All we have to do is explain them, and that's it. We'll onboard many more new people, and hopefully cryptocurrency is going to go up.
I got you. I agree with you. I'm going to say that I unabashedly will say that when you're in this position and you're looking for a way to capitalize on it, that it's the quality of the people that you surround yourself with and the quality of the information that you're getting. And when I look at the Genius Network, the Coin Genius Network, the people that, geez, that I'm surrounded by every day. It's what makes me certain I can do this and that I can make it through this. And so I'm going to just put that out there. Mr. Terpin, I've not had you on a panel today, and I'd really like to hear from you about what you would do to make it through this crisis.
Sure. So there's two ways to answer that. One is in terms of just your assets, and the other one is in terms of entrepreneurialism. I'll start with the second one. Jason Calacanis, who I've known since his very first startup in the early 90s, when they called New York Silicon Alley, and he had a little radio show running around interviewing the dot-com stars before they even became that big. He noted that deep recessions are the best time to invest in companies. And at the height of the 08-09 recession, which of course is when Bitcoin was born, he made some investments in these starving little startup companies that a few years earlier or later would have had gigantic valuations. But he's able to get into Uber at, I think, a $5 or $6 million valuation. Airbnb, same thing. So as an investor, you can find these deals where the price goes way down. And if you liked certain tokens, that's for equity. If you like certain tokens, a year and a half ago, when they were at $100 million market cap, and they're actually executing on their game plan, maybe even ahead of schedule, and they still have, I know token foundations that have, 50 times more money than their market cap, but, because they're decentralized or because they don't have a board of directors, they're not what would have happened in an equity situation where, somebody would have come in and just plundered it and said, we're going to go buy you with your own cash, and, here's the green mail and the raids. But there are some opportunities out there to actually buy into some of these tokens. Do your own research, not financial advice, but there are companies out there that are trading at $1 to $6 million market caps that did everything they said they were going to do in their 2017-18 ICO and build out. And, they were in many cases worth 100x. And yet, back then they had no customers. Now they have 1 million customers or users. I mean, I track those things. So that's as an investor. And you can, get pretty good deals because there's not a lot of people, buying a lot of their tokens. So,
Sure.
Or their equity. As an entrepreneur, you have really two choices in a deep recession. The choice you don't want to do is do exactly what you're doing. That's called just throwing money down a hole. You either take the time off. I have a friend in the .com crews who was a advisor to internet companies. When the crash happened, she literally just traveled around the world for a year and a half and came back and said, I didn't miss a thing. And or you go and find what opportunities are there now because of the change. I mean, for example, one of the things I do is I started Bid Angels with David Johnston. And initially it was just sort of virtual. And then we built out, city leaders, and we got up to 15 cities. Now that I'm running it under the Transform group. Getting 50, 60 people and great companies, and boom, all of a sudden, all those cities, all 15 of them that we're at, can't have people anymore. Do we shut it down and just walk home? Yeah, we can do that, or say we're not going to come back. No, we decided to go and, do Bid Angels virtual, and we've got one coming up on the 24th. We've got a Coin Agenda virtual coming up on the 22nd. We're going to go and keep our community engaged like you guys are, where you go in and you do, marketing to a different audience, and you come up with a different product that suits the times, because we don't know if this is going to last 2 months or 2 years. I don't think we're going to be locked into our homes, but, when Shanghai Disneyland reopened, they literally only had 5 cases on all of Shanghai. They got locked down so early. But when it opened with no restrictions on travel and no cases in Shanghai being reported in like weeks, they're still down 80% in traffic because people were still afraid to come out. Right. So, I mean, what's going to happen we have our big annual coin agenda in October in Las Vegas. And it's the same week as World CryptoCon. Will 5,000 people come to World CryptoCon? Will 100,000 people or 180,000 people come to the Consumer Electronics Show in January?
Yeah.
Who knows? We don't know these things yet. I'm hoping because at least with Coin Agenda, it's a smaller show. We can still get the right 100 people in the room. But if we get the right 100 people in the room having cocktails, and we get another 500 people who have been used to seeing us virtually to get 80% of what's going on. Did I cut out there? Okay.
No, you're fine.
Bandwidth warnings are flashing at me. Okay, great. Then all of a sudden it's an innovation. I mean, we're doing on the PR agency side, we're now offering virtual press conferences, virtual events online as well, and a number of entrepreneurs that I hadn't heard from in a while. All of a sudden, literally, I got 6 calls in the last 2 weeks of people who are doing things with various solutions to
sure.
To help the crisis. And, and then I'm looking through my network and I'm like, oh, one of the people that I worked with at the National Science Foundation who spoke at Coin Agenda a couple of years ago, who's in charge of grants for blockchain, now just got $75 million extra for, rapid grants for COVID. And I'm sure that's probably going to be increased if some good things come out of it. So
sure
there's a lot of things you just have to look in a different direction than you have been looking and see what the world as it exists today, not the one that you wish existed, is offering.
Right. So keep your feet moving. Be willing to pivot. Be willing to look at things in a different way, and be optimistic. Because if you're looking at things from a negative point of view, you're not gonna see things through in the same way. We don't know whether October is going to come and go and have all those people around, but the industry is still going to be here in one form or another. I want to just get on to
the other thing also. I was going to say the last thing I was going to say entrepreneurially is if you had a profitable business, and I know a lot of startups aren't profitable, but my business has been profitable. You're able to go in and, oh my God! I first of all, the payroll protection plan is great. You end up getting 2.5 months for each of your employees, and it's a loan at 2%. But if they stay on board, and I think my average employee has been here about like 7 or 8 years or more. Don't expect them to go anywhere in a bad marketplace. They forgive the loan, so that's a pretty incredible program. And it's one of the few programs. That actually helps business and helps the little guy without it being, a giveaway to either one. And the second one that, was just announced yesterday was that Main Street lending program. The minimum is $1 million, so it means you have to have a business that had $250,000 of profit or more. But if you do, you're able, as long as you have less than 10,000 employees, to go and get a loan. Now, this one you do have to pay back, but I was shocked when I read this was such a good deal.
2%?
No collateral.
Yep.
2%.
Yep.
And the first year, no payments. Sign me up.
Yeah.
I'll be spending most of the weekend putting things together. You could literally launch a new startup off of the money that you're getting from your profits. Be your own funder.
Absolutely. I mean, I know that the grant money that's out there is something that can be accessed in the new loan program that you were talking about too. I want to get on to something else.
I remember after 9/11.
I'm sorry. Actually, no. 2% is for the payroll one. The Main Street lending is 0.5.
Yeah. Nick?
I remember after 9/11, I had a company, getaroom.com. It was like an early Airbnb. And
of course, great company.
No More Hotels.com. And they offered the loan, and so I got all the papers together. I mean, I had a whole big operation going. No one was traveling, and the landlords kept the money, and I'd already sent the 80% to the landlords. I kept the 20%, but now I got people took back 100% of the money. So I was out of luck over there. And so I filed all these papers with the SBA, and I think it cost me about $20,000 just to file that stuff, to get all the papers together. And then at the end, they gave me a $30,000 loan because I told them I had $30,000 worth of equipment. Anyway, sorry.
Things are different these days.
I'd like to move on to
superior. This one seems vastly superior than the ones in the past, and so my biggest concern is that there's no way that they're going to be able to process these things anytime soon.
There is.
I mean, they're going to have to go and hire like half of the 16 million people who just lost the jobs. They're going to have to hire 8 million of them just to go through the process of the processing. The
SBA made a deal with the bank.
$3 trillion.
The only ones who are allowed to process, and they're seriously not able to do so. I agree with you on that. I want to pose a question to Steve over here. So, Steve, if you've got most of your wealth in a 401k or real estate, right? What should you do heading closer to a recession or depression? Arguably, we're here. There's talk about deflation, and that's in so many sectors, but certainly in the real estate market. So, what kind of guidance do you have? Not financial guidance, but ideas do you have about what to do in those arenas?
I'll just go back to the beginning of the year, and I've known you guys for the better part of 2 years, where I just always look at the current events, and there's been so many, I guess, swine flu and others that have kind of come and gone, where there was little global economic ramifications, and definitely not very felt in the U.S., at least for significant amounts of time. But I noticed the Chinese equity market was down 18% in January. I'm like, whoa, that's pretty bad. And it was due to what they called coronavirus, not the H1 or not the new pandemic, but
COVID.
So I'm a derivatives person. You just look, it's like, okay, well, how could I make a non-linear bet that if a 10 sigma event happens, that you do okay? And do that. But now that we're here, that's the before. Now that we're here, I can say, I don't think I've met some of you, but I can say that I don't know anyone myself that's ever been in a situation like that, where even in the Great Depression, it didn't stop in one day, seemingly, where, I just look at there's going to be a lot of people, to what Michael said, entrepreneurial. I think there's going to be a lot of entrepreneurs, because certain things that were the way that many had it, I don't think are going to be there. So am I being negative? No, I'm saying that there's changes, and it's like there's, I guess, pre-COVID and post, and just keeping your eyes open and looking at what things are moving and what are people doing. What stores are open right now? Government, food, pharmacy. Okay, well, why are those open? Why is Home Depot open, but the clothing stores aren't? I mean, clothing's kind of a necessity. And I guess we're finding out what is kind of vital to what the government, at least in the US or Chicago, where I am, deems vital, and trying to, I guess, capitalize on that. Aside from that, exercising, trying to spend more time with the family, which I do generally, but even more time. But I don't know, I can't take the Fortnite anymore from the kid. It's the headset was a blessing. And I mean, on that note, I just think that it's a new era, because this set a precedent for, if things kind of stop globally. I've never seen this, where I don't know what to expect.
We're in an era of technology that allows for different types of responses than we've ever had in the past. A past pandemic wouldn't have us on a teleconference. A past pandemic wouldn't have us communicating globally in real time. So back to the question of hyperinflation and then eventually
Hey, wait,
deflation.
Timmy,
Yeah.
can I add one thing?
Sure.
So I try to think of new ways to look at something old, and obviously cryptocurrency, blockchain, I'm sure all you guys have heard of it. But sometimes I feel like people come at it wrong. Like you have to use this, or Bitcoin's the only thing, or gold's the only. It's not, dude. I like gold, but I also like silver. I like Bitcoin, but I like Dogecoin too. Like I can have some gold, some cash, some this and that. It's just I feel that it needs to be made an option. No, take away blockchain and Bitcoin and Satoshi for a second. Pretend you didn't know anything. I go, hey, can you download this app? And it's like a preloaded app. You preload it and then you can spend it somewhere. That's it. Well, what is that? A wallet and a coin token, right? It's just getting it on a simplistic basis where I'm not a tech person, but I think those are the opportunities where people don't want to go outside. They don't want to have cash,
Well,
this, that.
the digital dollar is going to be what gets everybody familiar. And digital dollar got sort of slipped into one of the bills in the U.S. Now they're trying to authorize it in the U.K. I think that it was already coming along anyway, because as we get to the top of this great central bank 50-year Ponzi scheme, 100-year really if you go back to the start of it.
Yeah.
But 50 years since they decoupled it from the gold standard. It's just like, okay, what percentage of your GDP are you comfortable with having debt? For a while it was like, well, you can't have debt. Okay, you can finance a little bit, full faith and credit in the U.S. government, and we have a great military. We're now going to be over 100%, first time since World War II. China's already over that. Japan is at 300%, and it's been that for a while. So is Italy.
Oh yeah.
And so the question is, the only reason why this exists is because, the U.S. is the best house in a bad neighborhood, as my friend Harry Dent, the economist, likes to say. Where else are you going to go, right? And physical gold, you can tell, there's a saying that, the rising tide lifts all boats, which has been happening in all the bull markets, including this, Fed-inflated, crazy, almost Dow 30,000 when it should have been 12. Without the stock buybacks. And, you basically, the saying is the rising tide lifts all boats, but when the tide washes out, you can see all the crap at the bottom of the harbor. And the crap at the bottom of the harbor you're seeing right now is a lot of people thought GLD, the ETF, is the same thing as gold, instead of a promise to deliver the cash equivalent on gold they don't have. So when all of a sudden people are saying, oh, I've got a lot of gold, I've got like, a couple $100,000 in my 401k or in my IRA of the ETF. Well, guess what? If there's a run on the ETF, just like there was a run on the banks, and I think there's much more seriously a run on the ETFs than on the banks at this point.
Oh, big time.
There's no deposit insurance. And, the price of a physical piece of gold is so much more valuable than having that share. And you can tell that, and the fact that that's becoming more obvious. Go to any of the major gold brokers in the United States right now. Try to buy a Crew Grand. You'll see line after line of out of stock, out of stock, out of stock, out of stock, and it wasn't that way 3 weeks ago. You could have bought anything.
And it's gonna.
And so
it's
I
gonna
think
stay
more
that
and
way.
more people see that.
Yeah, you're right, Morgan. It's going to stay that way. Yep, absolutely. Jeremy, you want to chime in here?
And so,
Actually, I wanted to say one thing on that.
No, go ahead, Morgan.
Shortages. Thank you. There's such shortages on gold and silver. I actually work in precious metals as well. They're the only mint that's open left in the world right now is the U.S. Mint. All the other mints are having supply chain issues. So if you want to buy a Coup Grant or an Anza or a Philharmonic or any of the Maple Leaf, or from the Royal Canadian Mint, you're going to have to wait 4, 6, 8 weeks. Those gold broker houses are backlogged for people trying to roll over IRAs or just buy physical. So you can lock in an order, but you're basically, in essence, you might as well be buying GLD or SLV. You're going to be having a 6 to 8 week wait if you want to get it, unless you're doing it in an IRA for long term. But one thing, I know everyone here has done exceedingly well, but for a lot of the people who don't have means, but, looking at the title of the panel, offensive strategies, part of the stimulus package that was really between the lines is the government has waived that 10% penalty, and you can withdraw before 59.5 from your IRA or 401k. Now, if you think about that, up to 100,000, but think about the millions and millions of people now who are out of work. Those people who had currently contributed 401ks and IRAs, they're now touchable. So they've now been transferred into a finite IRA. So you can pull that out, and it's a loan that you can pay back in 3 years. But think about what you could do in 3 years with that $100,000 with no 10% penalty. So you could buy physical gold. You could buy Bitcoin. You can buy real estate. You can take advantage of some of these opportunities, or follow some of the great people on this panel and some of the people that we all watch, and maybe take a investment in something, and that could be game changing. So you have the ability to have more liquidity than just that $1,400 that the average person does in the United States, who can't even buy a new fridge because they don't have that money.
Right. You can buy the dip, or as Michael said, as an entrepreneur, you can build a business with that $100,000, whatever it happens to be. I absolutely agree. And you don't have to pay it back for 3 years. So that could be huge. Also, it could be the biggest mistake you ever make if you're a moron. But it's there, and for people who have some intelligence and good people around them, it's excellent. Nick, you're chomping at the bit there, or what's going on?
Still better than funding on your credit cards.
That's true. That's true. At 20% or 18 or whatever it happens to be.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be, who's bold. You got to use your boldness right now and just take a shot. I mean, what are you going to do?
Right.
I mean,
No
if you don't do that, if you just sit there and you're spectating, you're going to see it go by.
Well, I mean, there's
one thing that's promising.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
I was just going to say, I mean, really what it comes down to is I think that there's probably 1 or 2 times in our lifetimes that there'll be specific opportunities to take advantage of a market. And I'm not a financial advisor, so do your own research for sure. But at the end of the day, I think this is something that some people may only see once in a lifetime.
Oops.
People were worried about the 4th industrial revolution. You were talking about things like automation and taking away jobs, and robots taking people's jobs. I think this is almost an interesting test in that, right? Because like you had mentioned earlier, Nick, people are stuck at home, and jobs are being taken away, really, literally, and people are going to have to get very, very creative with what they do, right? So you can be a company like us. We are a startup. And we have a very strong data play, data scientists, and all these kinds of things. And you run into a situation like COVID-19, and everybody, all the investor dollars dry up, and all these different things happen, and you can either decide to let it overrun you, or find an opportunity to bring people together and create value in a new way. So I know Michael was talking about this as well. I mean, there's tremendous opportunity, but you just have to be creative. As it relates to investment, it's really about doing your research, and that's what we as Coin Genius try to help people with, is just demystify and democratize data, so anybody of any level of trading can actually understand what it means. So it's not just held with the 1%, the 99% actually have a chance at this opportunity that exists right now. And if we can do that, then I think we've created a tremendous amount of value for the industry. It's all about what's your time horizon, right? Are you retiring in 5 years, 10 years, or are you a millennial and you're not going to retire for 20, 30, 40 years, right? All of those come into play as it relates to deploying capital. It's about diversification. Steve Quan just mentioned this earlier. Maybe he wants to invest in gold and silver and palladium and crypto and Dogecoin and maybe a real estate play. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? It's about diversification to mitigate risk overall. But do your own research and do what's comfortable for you. And I think Kyle Reyes said this earlier as well, dollar cost averaging, especially into things like Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, we don't know. I mean, it could spike 1,000 points tomorrow. It could, drop by 1,000 points tomorrow. So dollar cost averaging, buying little bits incrementally is potentially a smart play as well. You got the Bitcoin halving event. We talked about this earlier as well. There's so many different factors that, you'd literally have to be, a mind reader to really understand what's going to happen and predict and hypothecate about what's going to happen in the future. None of us can. And all you can do is just do your research, be smart, and do what's right for you.
Indeed. I think we're
So I think
Say
real
again?
estate. I think people are going to want to buy cabins, Unabomber type cabins now. With 100 acres around them. What do you think of that?
For sure. Well, cool. Tim, I think we're at the top of it. So
We are.
each of you guys have some final thoughts or final words of wisdom for everybody. We can end there.
Yeah, well, I think we have a newcomer on the stage. Up there he is. All right,
Hey,
our young Mr.
hey guys,
Quan. How you
I
doing
told him
there,
he could
young
be on for 1 second, so we got a guest here. What's your name?
man? I think he might have more advice for us than anybody else today.
What's on your shirt, William Quan?
Dogecoin.
What is Dogecoin?
I love it.
Cryptocurrency.
All
I
right,
love
so
it.
you know that?
Yeah,
Is it good? All right,
not just me.
that's it. All right.
And
I
that's
told him
it.
I'd let him on.
I want to say that this whole industry is for everybody of the new generation, because they're going to be the ones that are using the digital assets in their everyday lives, more so than we are now by any stretch of the imagination. And so it's good to see a kid wearing a Dogecoin. Anyway, guys, thanks for being on the panel tonight. Thanks for all your words of wisdom. Coin Genius appreciates everybody who's been on the panels all night long, and especially you guys on this one now. We look forward to doing this again in the future. Jeremy, you want to wrap up?
Yeah, no, just want to thank every single person that came out to support us today, all the speakers, Morgan, Nick, Steven, everybody else. Really incredible panels. As you can tell, we're just trying to do something different, not just regurgitate the same conversations that you hear at conferences over and over and over with the same panels and the same people and the same narrative. Wanted to mix it up, and everything that we're trying to do with this new conference circuit, which is all virtual, which is called Collective Intelligence. The title of this, we're going to do these specifically every quarter, a larger conference like this. And then also many training sessions, educational sessions to really focus in and hone in on specific topics. So follow us, Coin Genius AI and coingenius.ai. You can take a look at us there. You can join us on Discord. I think I put the link here on the chat. But like I said, we're always open to partnerships and thoughts. You know, we're in the middle of a raise as well. So if anybody's interested in making potential investment in the company, please reach out to us, myself or Tim Bogert, and let us know. But yeah, we really just appreciate this, and we're really just trying to build a community and bring everybody up together. So thank you again for all the support. And with that said, everybody have a wonderful night.
Thank you so much.
Hasta la vista.
Hasta la pasta. Take care, guys.
Last thing before we leave, just wanted to do a quick shout out to the team, the Coin Genius team, and the people that worked day in and day out for the last 2 weeks. You know, I put a lot of strain on the team sometimes. You know, I just said, hey, there's an opportunity. We're already meeting every Wednesday talking about the industry, and people are finding it valuable. Let's do a conference, and let's do it before anybody else releases a conference. We had 2 weeks to do it, and for some magical reason, we were able to actually put it together. You know, we had some technical issues, and it wasn't perfect, but congrats and kudos to the team on Coin Genius. You guys really, really put together an incredible event, and I couldn't have done it without you. So thank you, guys.
Indeed. Bravo. And thank you to all the panelists who were here tonight.
Thank you.
Yep, all the support from the community and everybody who came to listen.
Yeah. Thanks,
And you
guys.
know
Have a good one.
there's somebody that didn't get a thank you. How about the leader of the Coin Genius team? That guy in
Jeremy
the upper
Bourne.
right-hand corner of my screen.
Jeremy Bourne. Thank you, Jeremy.
Yeah,
Thank you, Jeremy.
you did a good job, man, of getting this huge group of people to, you know, speak about different things. And it wasn't all crypto or buy this or buy that, just, you know, life advice, life thoughts, stories that make it more personal than just, hey, this is, you know, you have to do this. Like, don't tell me what I have to do. But anyway, Jeremy, excellent job putting it together.
Thank you, guys. Let's do
All
it
right,
again
guys.
soon. Stay in touch, guys.
Be well, be
All right.
safe, be on the other side.
Good night.
Good night.